Hey, friends. My name is Mark Delaney. This is my first ever YouTube live, I believe. It's late at night here in Owasso, Oklahoma. And honestly, it's time for bed, but I had to tell a story. I could not go to sleep until I tell this story. I was at a men's retreat and I was kind of agitated because I get agitated at a lot of men's gatherings because I feel like oftentimes at a men's gathering, in the communities I've been a part of, the whole goal at the end is at some point for all the men to say what's wrong with them. How are you messing up? What are the wrong things you're doing? What are the bad habits that you have? And I hate it. It bothers me. It always has. For a long time, it felt like the right thing to do. I thought, it seems moral that we should all admit our failures. But at the same time, I hated it. Why in the world are we going to sit here and meet together and just talk about our problems, and then someone's going to say, hey, why don't you find an accountability partner here and admit to them what you're struggling with, and maybe they'll call you during the week and they'll help you stop your problem. And those moments drove me crazy. It made me not want to go to men's gatherings and men's groups. It felt like an awful way of ruining relationships. So here we are at this men's retreat, about 16 of us, one big long table. And I spoke up and I said, guys, it seems like when we men gather, ultimately all we do is go around and admit the things we're struggling with. And I said there's nothing wrong with that. But when do men get together and talk about our dreams and how we want to do something with our lives for good in this world? And I just said it. I had to say it. I was agitated. And the man sitting across from me, a friend of mine named Aaron, he looked at me and he said, well, Mark, what's your dream? And it stunned me. In my entire life, I don't think anyone has ever asked me, what's your dream? And it was awesome. It's like my heart fluttered that someone was asking me in public to share my dream. And so I talked about it. And that night I laid in bed and I thought to myself, how many people are never asked that question? How many people feel like they're living their life on trial, as if the whole goal is to get someone to confess how they've messed up? But how many people are never asked, what is your heart dreaming of? So if you're watching this, I'm asking you, what's your dream? Your life is probably a lot like mine. It's flawed. In your past, you and I, we could share stories of the things that haven't worked, the ways we've messed up, and we could talk about the ways that people have messed us up. But you know what else we could talk about? What our hearts are dreaming of. I'm sitting here in my office, and I was sitting here about 2 years ago with a man. A friend had texted me and he said, I got a friend who's not doing well at all. He can't stop drinking, and he's thinking about bringing an end to things. And I said, bring him to the house. I want to talk to him. And that night, my friend brought this guy to my house. And when he walked in, I introduced myself to him and I said, we need to have a conversation. I said, if you want, we can go in the backyard around the fire pit and talk. Or I said, if you want, we can record a podcast together. Because anything that you need to share, there are millions of men that need to share the same words you need to share. And whatever I would say to you, I would say to all of those men. So if you want, we can record a podcast of our conversation. And he said, I'm up for that. I loved it. He came back to this office and he talked about his story a little bit and admitted his drinking struggles. And then I asked him, I said, "What does your heart want from life?" And there was a long pause. And then he said, "I don't know." I asked him, "What do you think is worse? A man who's drinking too much or a man whose heart no longer knows what it wants from life?" I think the answer is clear. Probably the reason that he's drinking too much is because he's living too little. I would say to you that a person who's not pursuing the dreams of their life is more likely to fall into some kind of addiction, to some kind of substance that will mask or numb the thing inside of us that's dying. So many of us live our life more motivated or moved by our guilt, which doesn't move us in the right direction. Guilt doesn't move us forward. It, it keeps us stuck. It keeps us living in our past. We, we're stuck in our guilt, but our gift is dying on the inside of us. The good news is that none of us really need to go back and fix our past. We can't. And we can't make all of our problems go away. What we can do is to begin to resuscitate our heart so that our dreams begin to beat within our chest again. And then just have the guts to take a next step and a next step and a next step. I just drove to a prison last week. I go there every week. I went there with a former prisoner. There was a man I met 4 years ago at a prison. And him and I got to know each other when he was an inmate. We talked a lot about purpose. And he eventually got out about a year and a half ago. And since he got out, all he does is chase his dreams. He's got problems like we all do, but he chases his dreams. And it's powerful to watch. I remember a young man I met at a coffee shop. I met with him at a coffee shop. I had known him a little bit years ago, but he emailed me. He was 22 at the time. And he said to me, ever since I left high school, he said, I've been addicted to this and addicted to this and addicted to this. He said, now I'm depressed and I'm suicidal. He said, I'm tired of hiding. And I told him, I said, we're going to meet once a week. And I said, but we're not going to talk about depression. We're not going to talk about suicidal thoughts. We're not going to talk about addictions. We're going to talk about your purpose. What he needed was for his dream, his calling to get reawakened. I think what happens to many of us is before we ever find our purpose, we find our problems. And we look in the mirror and say, oh no, I have this problem. And people look at us and say, oh no, you have that problem. And it feels right to fixate our lives around the, oh no, there's a problem. What we need is for a lot of people to have conversations with a lot of other people, asking each other, what are you dreaming of? What's inside of you that you want to give to people? What are the goals? What are the ideas on the inside of you that you want to bring to life in the world? The good news is that you can't fix your past, so you can stop trying to. The good news is that even while you have problems, you can still pursue those dreams. It's not about ignoring the problems. It just means that the option for you and for me and for everyone else, the option for all of us is to pursue the purposes of our life, even while we have problems in our life. But instinctually, we feel like Well, if I have problems, I can't I can't go do a thing. I have problems. Things in my life aren't fixed. I can't. Yes, you can. And you must. All of us, in order to live the Superman life, must be honest about our kryptonite. It's not about saying, well, my problems don't matter. The reality is our purpose and our dreams matter more. So we don't ignore our problems. We don't ignore potential addictions. What we do is we realize that my best opportunity to overcome my problems and addictions and overcome my past is to pursue with my whole heart my future and my dreams. That's what we can all do. And as we pursue our dreams, we can also, at the same time, honestly face our problems. Superman can talk to Batman and say, hey, I've got kryptonite. Do you? We can be honest about the things that are threats to our life, but they don't deserve the focus of our life. What deserves the focus of our life is the dreams within our heart and the people we can pursue those dreams with. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's about 11 at night. My voice is gone, but I could not go to bed until I told these stories because I know there are people who are watching this, and maybe for a long time, guilt has been talking to you. And the loudness of your guilt has been covering over the quiet whispers of your heart that has ideas and dreams and good things that you want to do. And I hope the whisper becomes louder. I personally think one of the best ways to allow those whispers to become stronger than the guilt is to, out of your mouth, admit the dreams of your heart. I hope you do that. If you want help from me, my wife and I put together a program. It's called the Purpose Mastermind. It's a journey of conversations we have with people. It's not that my wife and I are anything special. We are special. We're as special as you are. And we love to get together with people on Zoom and just have conversations about our purpose. It's really hard to live a life focused on our purpose when we don't know what it is. And so we love to have these conversations where we help people go through a journey of conversations, real conversations on Zoom, real people talking, where we help people to clarify their purpose in one sentence. And through our nonprofit, this is at no cost to people. It's 4 weeks, 4 conversations. I'll put a link in the description of this video, but you can join our free community and have those conversations on Zoom with us. I hope this has been helpful. If you like content, real stories, real people, authentic stuff, subscribe and follow along. I believe with all my heart that all of us have a purpose within us, and we can all know it. And we can all be set free from whatever is holding us back from pursuing that purpose boldly. Thanks for watching. Go take on the day.